Yeah, or
All right, that's recording. All right, quick word from the sponsors. FIFO by Aaron Weston, a hilarious novel about all the crazy stuff that happens on FIFO. Available at Aaron Weston author, Instagram account or Facebook page. For the kids, you got Australian Surf Lifesavers, Australian Police Vehicles, Australian Defence Force Machines, Australian Paramedics, Australian Mining Machines Colouring Handbook, Australian Firefighters, all available at Children's Books by Aaron White on Facebook and on Instagram. Just click on the link or the Shop Now button, grab yourself a copy. All right. Hi, everyone. And if you like what you're listening to or like what you're watching, please like and subscribe and tell a mate. All right, we'll get into it. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Aaron White Show. Today, we have a fantastic guest, Ryan Devereux. Ryan is the owner of Bodies by Ryan. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
thanks, mate. Thanks for having me on board.
No worries. It's going to be awesome. Hey, can you just tell me your story, like how and where you grew up and your life-changing events and how you end up doing what you're doing today?
Yeah, mate. So I actually grew up in Ballarat in Victoria. So small, cold place, southwest of Melbourne. So I lived there until I was about 21. So I moved to Perth in 2010. So I've been here for a little while now. So first came over here working as a tradie, just chasing the sunshine and a little bit warmer weather. So I came over here for a year's worth of work, and then decided I wasn't enjoying what I was doing. So I just started. I stopped playing footy. I just played amateur grade footy. So I just gave that the can. I wasn't really enjoying that anymore, and got more into gym and training more frequently. And then I decided I just wanted to do it as a living. So started doing all the Cert 3 and the 4, and this. Then I went through the strength and conditioning level 1 and level 2. Got a job at Christchurch Grammar School here in Perth. So I was working as a strength and conditioning coach there, coaching all the rugby guys, all the rowing guys, and then doing all the personal training on the side, and just started training a lot of the parents of the school, really. And then after I was there for it was almost 5 years, I got a gentle nudge by the guys at the school there that sort of said, you've got to either pull back on the personal training or just sort of head out and do your own thing. So, as I said, I was there for nearly 5 years. So I thought it was the right time to sort of pull the pin and come out and do my own thing, because I always wanted to have my own gym. So it was like a gentle nudge in the right direction. And then, so we started the first BBR was actually in April. Oh, it's just a little bit before that, actually, because it got shut down in April 2017, because we started May 2017 in the 2 locations that we've got now. But yeah, the first gym we had, that was a bit of a good experience, a good lesson, I guess, because we opened it without council approval. We spoke to the council and said, are we going to be okay to open here? We're actually next to a cemetery and the water corp, and they said, yeah, you should be fine. But we got one complaint from a guy on that street who had a karate center there who didn't like us being there. So we actually got shut down. So within the first days, my first client that I had coming down to the gym, obviously didn't know where it was because it was the first time being there, walked in the karate center, said, hey, I'm looking for Ryan's gym. And he said, what do you mean Ryan's gym? And then came down and complained to the council, and we got shut down that same day that we opened.
God, that's ridiculous. Why can a karate center, what's that got to do with you? Because you're a fitness, like.
Well, I think from what I researched, mate, it's just like a lot. One single person has a lot of power when it comes to councils and business being set up. So I know that a lot of other gyms in the area, like F45s, they often get complaints from neighbours, and they get warnings, but obviously they're being approved by the council. So we didn't have that council approval, so we were out, and we had 30 days to get out, pretty much. So that was probably one of the toughest lessons I've had in starting the businesses, mate, because I pretty much spent all my savings on all the equipment. So that all got delivered. I still hadn't taken most of it out of the box yet. On that first day, I was still setting it up as on the go. And obviously, when you sign a lease, you have to put up 3 months of rent to cover it as a bond. So I almost dropped it. Oh, yeah, it was around 20K on the bond and on the lease first up. So I burnt a bit of cash at the start, and then I had 30 days to find a new home for the gym. So that was literally on the 29th day. I had a client come into the gym down there because I could still trade within that 30 days. They allowed that. On the 29th day, I had a client come in and he was too hungover to train. So we went and got a coffee, and he actually gave me a number of a guy who managed the leases within the Claremont Showgrounds here in Perth. So I literally called that guy, and then that same day came in, checked out this place that we're in now, which is what we call our BBR HIIT gym, where we do all our high intensity training. Signed the lease on it that day. And then 9 months later, we've opened up another gym just down the road as well, which is just still called Bodies by Ryan, but we do more strength training out of there.
Did you get council approval this time?
Well, we're funny because we're kind of we're kind of looked after here because the Royal Agriculture of WA actually own the showgrounds, so we don't fall under any council jurisdiction in here. So I just have to abide by what they tell me here, and we're all good.
How do they get access? Do you have to go through the showgrounds to get to you, or you're just on the outside? Or?
Yeah. No, yeah, so you have to come through the showground. So that's what was so weird. Like I've never, there's lots of businesses that actually run throughout the showgrounds here. So, there's a few catering companies, there's a few, what are they? Marketplace, one business is called. So there's a few businesses that roll through here. So you've got to actually drive through the main gate to come in and find us. So we are sort of hidden away in here, which sort of works to our favor in some ways. Like I think one of the best things about our gyms, like it's so once you know where it is, there's tons of parking. It's super easy to get to. But obviously we do have to shut down for 10 days when the show's on. So it's the only sort of downfall that we have in here. But tons of parking, which our clients love. And when COVID happens and we have to lock it down, we've got the whole space to use here. So we just do big sessions in the car park. So it does sort of feel like a bit more of a community space in here rather than just being out in the council and dealing with a landlord directly.
So when COVID did hit, so it didn't affect you guys that much because obviously they're not allowed in your gym itself to do the weights, but you could just go outside. So you didn't lose that much business, or you did?
Mate, so COVID, when the first lockdown came around, it was obviously a massive shock to everyone. We didn't know really what we were going to do, but my girlfriend works in hospitality, so she lost her job straight away. So what we did, we went online. So pretty much when COVID happened, the next day we just started running online classes. We didn't even know what we were doing really. I'd never used Zoom before or anything like that, but we literally just had a monitor. So we used that, and I'd write a program. I'd send it out to everyone the night before. And then what I'd do is I would have everyone on a big monitor. So I'd be coaching everyone on the screen, and I'd have my girlfriend here doing the workout. So they would see her doing the workout, and I was just coaching everyone on the screen. So because we do the HIIT and the strength training, we'll do strength first thing at 5:15, and then we'll do HIIT at 6:15. So my girlfriend was doing a 2-hour session every day. So she got really fit through the COVID lockdown. But yeah, then we just, we'd send down a link so everyone could do it in their own time at home as well. So we sort of hit the ground running, Matt, and we got lots of good feedback through that time because I think it was a really hard time for a lot of people. And I think they found a lot of structure, and it was still like their normality when we'd get everyone on Zoom in the morning. Some mornings we had up to 60 people on there, and we had people from all around the world by the end of COVID. So we had people in Melbourne, we had people in France, we had people in London. So we're sending links out everywhere. So it was actually really cool by the end that we have, because of the time differences, not everyone was on at the same time, but throughout the day we'd have a private Facebook group and everyone would post up selfies, and we did things like where we had an 80s day. So everyone dressed up in 80s costumes when we're doing training. So that was quite funny on all the screens, have about 40 people up training, all wearing different costumes. So we just try to make it as fun as we could through that time, mate. So, but I think when COVID hit, I think we had about 210 members on our books, and that went back to zero the day COVID hit. Everyone cancelled straight away, which was fair enough. Straight back the next day, we offered that first week for free so everyone could see what we were doing. By that next week, we're back up to about 50, 60 members. And then after the 3 months of the COVID, we're back up to about almost 200 members online. So that was a good switch. We had to pivot pretty quickly. I was pretty lucky. I did a 3-day course with a guy called Kerwin Ray the year before, which is always it's all based on business strategy and pivoting, and something happened. So it was almost like as soon as COVID hit, I got my my book out from the Kerwin Ray event I went to. I can't speak highly enough about that guy as well. He's awesome. And yeah, we just went from there. And I just thought, it's important for everyone to keep training. And I know how good I feel when I'm training. So I just made sure that everyone still had the option to train and do a strength program and do a HIIT programming as well, because we leased out all the equipment in the gym as well.
That's what I was going to ask you. So you haven't bought all the gear. How does gyms operate with the equipment? Because there's like so much money worth of equipment in each gym. Do you use like
Yeah.
a monthly leasing fee or something for gear, do you? Or
Mate, I own all of our equipment here.
that's good.
I just did it a little bit differently to what other gyms do, because I think some gyms, when they set out, they go, okay, we've got a business plan, we're going to lease out all these equipment and get it in. I did it a little bit differently. I put about, well, I think it was about 50 grand's worth in at the start, and I just brought exactly what I knew I needed to run classes. And then once we started getting some revenue back in, once I started building the bank account back up, buy a cable machine, and then a few more weeks go by, and then I buy a couple more bikes, and a couple more weeks go by, and I buy another cable machine. So now we've got 2 gyms fully decked out. In our other gym, we've got, it's leg presses and, hammer strength. So it's almost at the level where it could be, used as a commercial gym with the amount of equipment we've got in there. But it was just, month by month, sort of week by week at the start, because once I signed a lease on this first place, I still didn't have enough money to cover the rent. So I was back on the tools most weekend, working with mates, just trying to get any work that I could just to cover the rent for the first probably 3 months until we had enough members to cover it. But that's probably one of the toughest things at the start as well, because I went from being really busy as a personal trainer, and I opened up this space, and then I couldn't get any more PT sessions in. So I started moving to more of a class-based structure. And when that happened, a lot of my personal training clients didn't like doing the classes. So I went from having about 40, 50 members when I started. And then when I went over to the class structure, I lost a lot of members in that process as well. So I moved out of Christchurch with this like big membership base. And I thought that was just really going to grow from there, because I thought, if I open up more times where we can get more bums on seats, it's going to be really good, and it's going to grow really quickly. But what actually happened is it went backwards before it went forward. So I reckon we would have lost a lot of members at the start, because they were used to the personal training experience. And then I think once we opened the classes up to 24 people per class, I think that they just didn't like the change, which was fair enough. So I lost a lot of members in that starting process as well.
Did you still do the one-on-one after doing the classes? Maybe just if they still want to have that personal one-on-one experience, maybe just up the price a bit if they still want it, or something like that.
Yeah, it was the hardest thing. The hardest thing is with the times and the schedule. So for a long time there, I was doing PTs, a half an hour PT from 5 to 5:30 in the morning. Then I'd do a 5:30, 6:30, 7:30 class, 8:15 PT, 9 o'clock class, and I'd do a 4 o'clock class, and then any 5 o'clock class, and then a PT after that. But then once I'd finished the day, like I'd train in there myself and trying to learn the business and try and run Facebook ads yourself. And then I'd have to set up the gym ready for the class the next morning, plus clean it all. So I was just doing massive days, mate. And I did it for 9 months, and I was absolutely, because in between those times I was working all weekends as a tradie as well to make more money to cover the rent. So I just remember that feeling of, after doing the first sort of, I reckon it was getting close to 9 months just before we brought on our first trainer. I really started to think, fuck, I don't know how much longer I can do this for, because I was just burning out. Because I felt a lot of pressure as well, because I've always felt, to own a gym, you should be, this big, strong, muscly dude. And, and not being from Perth, I really wanted to have a good reputation and make sure I had integrity behind all of our programs. So I did put always a ton of time into our programming, and that's some of the best feedback we get from our clients at the moment. If they come from F45 or other CrossFit gyms, they say that they really love the programming here, because we program in 8 and 12-week blocks, and they all go in meso and micro cycles. So even when people are in a training block now, like we've started an 8-week challenge today, with a new 8-week challenge block, and after that, they know that they go into a 4-week sort of a deload period, and then we go into another 8-week block after that. So when we write our programming, it's usually done over sort of like a 6 or 12 months sort of structure, broken down into little smaller micro and meso cycles.
What's micro meso cycles? What's that mean?
So it's just broken down into like it just talks about scale pretty much. So we will have a micro or meso block. It just pretty much means the length of the program. So probably the best way to describe it from just say at the moment. So we're going through an 8-week block now. So this is just like a micro cycle. So it's just a small part of the block, 8 weeks, but then we also move into a 4-week block and another 8-week block. So it's just really talking about how you break the programming up. and what exercises you do in this block compared to the next block. So the way we really focus on our big lifts, especially in the strength gym, it might be a bench press, a deadlift, a front squat, and an overhead press over an 8-week block, and we work with a strength progression over that 8 weeks. From there, the fourth week, the 4-week block in between the 8-week programs will just be a really simple progression where we will take away like the actual strength progressions. We'll just go back to normal sessions. And then the next 8-week block after that, the 4 list might be different. So it might go to a barbell back squat, a dumbbell walking lunge, a glute thrust, and just another type of deadlift. So we're always alternating the 4 exercises in each program block as well.
What's the best way to do a bench press? Because it was always just a whole hop on the flat bench press, squeeze shoulder blades together, push it up. Now suddenly all this, like the powerlifting's got you bending up. Because what I was learning, they basically say don't lift your lower back up. Now suddenly these guys are like arch the back up majorly, and they're saying this is the best way to do it now. What's just for your everyday person? What's the best way to grow your chest?
Well, it's really individual based. So it depends on when I've got a client in, I always look at the curvature of their spine. So if they're quite lordotic like me, if they've got that lower curvature of the lumbar spine, you're not going to have to get them to arch or go into extension more, which is extension is just when you go into that more of that lordotic posture of just pushing your sternum up. But it depends what you want to do as well, mate. Like if you want to just actually grow your chest to get a bigger chest, I wouldn't recommend doing a bench press at all. I think it's a really bad exercise for growing muscle. I think it's a great exercise for developing chest strength. But yeah, I definitely think there's a ton of better exercises out there if you're looking just to grow your chest as a hypertrophy type of exercise compared to a strength exercise.
So more cables and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, so like you just break it down to how muscles work, and it's got an insertion and an origin. So you've got to lengthen the muscle and you've got to shorten the muscle. So you think about how am I going to do this most effectively? So I always think when I'm writing a program, I'm going to always challenge it, especially through a chest. You've got to work within the fiber orientation as well. So I always usually warm up with a fly because I know that gets the scapulas moving as well. And I just try and get as much blood into the muscle as I can. But working with a slow tempo as well. I think for any sort of like normal day gym guy, that the worst thing that I see guys getting in there on a bench press and they're just shoving back and forth, or with their flies, they're moving too quick. And one thing I think everyone sort of gets into a bad habit too, which I sort of pick up a lot on, is people use momentum to use a weight and not their muscles. So when I get any clients in, I slow everything right down. So it goes back to 4-second eccentrics, be 1 or 2 second hold at the bottom, and then a 2-second concentric. So you can really slow everything down. So you can actually feel the muscle working, going through the lengthening range, holding, and then back through the shortening range. So I think it's really important to identify the muscle action and the muscle function, and then break it down to challenging the muscle. So each time you do an exercise or when you program a day, I'll always think, if I'm trying to do grow my hamstrings, I'll always pick exercise. I go, okay, how am I going to challenge it into a shortened range? So it might be something as simple as a seated leg curl, where I can just literally work through a shortened range. And then if I want to work the muscle through a lengthened range, it might be something like a stiff-legged deadlift.
Yeah. Is it all right to do just, because I've seen lots of people do like back and bis one day, chest and tris one day. What I do is I have chest only one day and back only one day and bis only one day and triceps only one day. Is it all right to just do, when I'm at work, because I'm there for 7 days, I hate having days off. So I got 2 questions for you. Is it fine to just do one body group per day and just smash it? And is it right not to have any days off within a full week?
Yeah, so I think it all works, but I think what you've got to look at it in a longer term. So the way we grow muscles and the way we program is just by progressive overload. So that means it can be something as simple as, I don't care what the split looks like really, as long as you're challenging the muscle each week. So this week, if you do 10 reps, that's just what you do with the same split. Next week, you might do 12 reps. The next week after that, you might stay at 12 reps, but you might increase the weight. So it really comes down to how you've set your programming up, whether you really, because there's all different variables how we challenge the muscle. We can challenge the muscle under time through slower tempos. We can challenge it through load, which is just weight. We can challenge it through distance, about how far the muscle will travel from different exercises, and how you position your feet in a lunge, for an example. So there's all different variables as a coach that you can just turn dials on to make it harder and work through that progressive overload. But the most simple way to do it, because if you think about, if you've got going to be doing if you pick to do a split, and it might be chest and tries, or it could just be chest, back, shoulders, legs, bis and tries, whatever your split is. But if you just think about that in regards to, okay, I'm going to do 3 working sets on each exercise and pick 4 exercises. It's just simple. It's really, really super simple. And the next week, if you go to add more weight to those exercises the following week, and then the following week, if, for example, using a bench press, you're not going to be able to go, I'm going to start at 100 kilos. Next week, I'll do 110, 120, 130, 140. That progression runs out really quick. Where if you add things in like tempo, where you slow your tempo down, and add in different things like you can add tempo, load, and distance into those variables as well. You can get much more out of the program, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What do you reckon about
so
those?
I think there's all.
You go.
No, yeah. So there's just all different variables. So, and I always think if I want to increase the total volume, then I might look at bunching up chest and tries together, or even doing chest and arms together. But there are better muscle groups to train after each other. Like I would never train back and then legs day after day, because usually if I'm doing back, I'm doing a lot of bent over movements. So if you just think about the stress and strain on your lower back, so I'd always try and break them up. So for example, I trained legs this morning. So legs today, tomorrow will be either chest or shoulders, and then I'll go to back after that. So I always make sure there's a day in between legs and back.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Are you
so
qualified
just some base? Yeah.
Are you qualified nutritionist?
So I'm studying nutrition at the moment. So I've just started uni this year. But I've done, what is it now? 4 competitions, and I plan to compete in February this year, but the competition got cancelled, which is a bit of a bummer, because I went through. I got a coach on board when I decided I wanted to do a show, and I went through a 40-week gaining phase where I think my starting weight was about 96 kilos. And then I think the heaviest I got was up to 107. And then from 107, we started dieting down, and over 20 weeks, I lost a kilo a week to get down to about 87 I just booked in a photo shoot, because once the show got cancelled, I was 16 weeks into a diet, plus all the 40 weeks that I did leading up to it as well. So yeah, I was pretty disappointed that the show got cancelled, but it is what it is. And we just did a photo shoot. So we've still got some photos for the hard work that we put in.
What are you using the photos for? Magazines or for Instagram or?
Mate, just for content. Like I've got a lot of programs I sell online now as well. So literally when I do a program, I'll write down everything I do. So from the structure of the program, how long it's for. I know leading up to the photo shoot, I was really running out of energy. So one of the other variables that you can change within your training is like the density of your session. So how much work you can get within a certain amount of time. So I'll do all giant sets. So it might be back and biceps. So I'll do four back exercises and 2 bicep exercises all in a row without any rest. And then I'd rest for 2 to 3 minutes after I do those 6 exercises. I do that 4 times. So I just took out a lot of the rest. So I was working super hard, burning fat, building muscle. And then, I'd get my workouts done in 40 minutes rather than 90.
Does your girlfriend work with you full time now?
No, so she's back in hospitality, but she's in here 1 or 2 days a week, just helping out with admin and things like social media and stuff like that. She's got a better eye for it than me. So she comes in and helps out along the way where she can, which is a big help.
All right, I'm going to hit you with some food, like some nutrition type stuff now. I know you said you just started, but still you got all this knowledge already. What good supplements? Or are you just better off eating healthy food? Otherwise, what supplements can you recommend?
Yeah, well, I think I take a few supplements. I think there is some good science backing a lot of the supplements now, but I still keep it really basic, mate. Anything, probably the best rules, if it's got a shiny label, like don't touch it. I just keep it really, really basic. Because I think if you walked into a supplement shop and said, "Oh, I've just started a gym, what can you recommend?" They'll give you a list as long as your arm, and I don't think they're really necessary at the start as well. But just the basic ones that we recommend to our clients, like I consider protein powder to be just a food, so it's not even a supplement. I just think if you're training with weights, it's a no-brainer to have protein powder. It's a really good source of protein. It's fast absorbing, so really, really important just to have that in there as well. I take creatine, monohydrate, glutamine. I take a zinc and magnesium blend before I go to bed. And then if I've got more than 4 hours in between meals during the day, I'll have some branched chain amino acids as well, some BCAAs.
Oh, sweet. Would you recommend, I know you said the protein powder, but would you recommend just eating meat, like normal food, as opposed to having protein powder? Or you reckon the protein powder is better because it's more quickly absorbed?
Yeah, so they both have their pros. So I think protein powder is just a no-brainer, especially when you can add it to things like oats. It can make the meal taste a lot better. Again, it's fast absorbing at relatively good price. So I think having a protein powder in there. But I'm big on eating meat proteins as well. I think we can all, as long as it's sourced ethically, I think it's good. If you can get it from a farm, it's organic, it's grass fed, I think that's definitely a way to go about it, rather than eating, just meat from the local supermarket. So that's what we try and push here at BBR. But when you're eating steak, you're getting lots of minerals from this food as well. So you get lots of supplements. So how I just spoke about creatine. There's taurine. What else is there? Carnitine. So you get all these other added benefits when you eat red meat as well. That's why, eating chicken breast is good. Chicken breast always gets a lot of airtime when it comes to dieting, but chicken breast is good for protein, but it doesn't have much nutritional value. I think you get a lot more out of a rump steak, because you get those added creatine, glutamine, all those types of stuff in there as well. So yeah, I'm big on having all those stuff in there, mate. I think they've all got a place in your diet throughout the day.
What do you reckon about blueberries and broccoli and all those type of things?
Yeah, so you can. There's some guys at the moment who talk a lot about the importance of micronutrients, and I think that's it's got its place as well. You've got to have a good range of macronutrients, which is your protein, carbs, and fats. You've got to have a good percentage of those all, and depending on what your goals are, if your goal is to lose weight, you're going to have about 50% of your calories coming from protein, and then depending on your body type and where you're from, it might be a little bit higher carb, lower fat, or the other way around. But at the end of the day, your calorie intake is going to dictate how your physique changes. So if you're trying to put on muscle, you might go 40% protein, 40% carbohydrate, 20% fat, or you might go 50% carbohydrate, 30% protein, and make the rest up through your fat. So just a few different variations that you can work where you're getting your calories from.
Yep. What's in the future for you? Do you want to have 20 BBRs down the track or something, or what do you want to do? Pick your perfect life.
Mate, I love what I do now. I love my day to day. I get out of bed 10 to 4 most mornings. I usually train before we start our classes here. Our classes start at 5:15. We've got a really, really cool group of people in here, and I really love the community we have. I just want to make this better. I don't necessarily want to go bigger. I think we've got a really good, strong, successful, profitable business right now. So I'm really hesitant to do anything different, because I think if the trainers are busy, I'm more than busy enough, with my day-to-day. Always feels like I need more hours in the day. If we're all doing what we love every day, offering a good service, helping people change their physiques, and we can make a good dollar while we're doing it, I just think, why would you change? I think for the first 2 years when I started BBR, I think it was more of coming from a place of trying to feed my ego, saying, oh, I want to have multiple gyms, I want to do this, because it was more just to tell people that I've opened gyms. But if I was to be honest, I really love what I do now. The day-to-day is really exciting for me. I love coaching in classes. I love coaching PT. I love doing nutrition plans. We've got an online group now, so we've got about 40 online members, as well as 200 members here at BBR. So that's enough people to manage. And like I said, we're all pretty busy at the moment. So the only thing in the future for me at the moment is just trying to make our gyms better. So if that means that we move into a bigger, better space, that's probably something that's on the cards for us right now, is trying to find a space where we could potentially move one gym out of the showground, so we don't have any interruptions when it comes through to the show time. But yeah, we literally just sit down and we just try and put our heads together to find out how can we make the programming better, how can we deliver a better service, and that's basically it for us. We try and just keep it really simple and just try and execute well.
Do you guys do, like, because you say you got that strength gym as well? Do you guys compete in those powerlifting competitions and all that type of stuff?
No, so even though it's called our strength gym, it's more hypertrophy training, mate. So we don't really ever do anything less than sort of 8 to 10, 12 reps up in there, where all your powerlifting stuff's, 1 rep maxes and everything like that. Our demographic is really, basically 80% females between 30 to 55. And I just don't think there's no point putting anyone that's a little bit between, or people between that age bracket at risk of injury. So I just think we can still get great results and still build strength. There's no reason why you can't build strength working to a 8, 10 rep max rather than just a 1 rep max. I just think that it takes out a lot of risk of injury, pushing people to their 1 rep max. I think if people want to do powerlifting stuff, that's awesome. It's something that I haven't really done a lot of. I've done some strength training before, but I just find it takes a lot of time to build up enough stability to really push 1 rep maxes all the time and to compete under that banner. But if it's people's cups of tea, then that's cool as well. But I think we've all sort of worked within our niche, I guess.
And you said 80% of your clients are females 30 to 55. What do they struggle with most? What do they want to change most about their bodies or their mindsets or whatever?
Mate, the biggest thing at the moment is that I see that everyone undereats, and not in an unhealthy way, but I think there's so many people are so uneducated on how many calories they should be eating a day, how much protein they need to be eating, even a good amount of healthy fats. If you're not even talking about changing people's body composition, but just for general health and well-being, I think people have no idea of what they should be eating. And I think what that causes and what that leads to is people undereat during the week. So when they're sober and being mindful of what they're eating, they eat less of the good stuff because they think, if I'm trying to lose weight, if I'm trying to do whatever, they'll eat less of the good stuff. But when it gets to the weekend and they might have a few drinks and then they blow it out and they have pasta or pizza or whatever they eat on the weekend, even though they're having 2 days off plan or eating different foods that are higher in carbohydrates, higher in fats, if you think about that in the scheme of your week, when you're under eating good proteins and good vegetables and good carbohydrates compared to what you do on the weekend, and then you blow it up. So the whole ratio of macronutrients and calories over the week really doesn't look great for someone that's trying to lose weight.
And do you find when you have I know you said you do more classes now as opposed to one-on-one. Did you find when you're doing the one-on-one, you're a bit more of like, not a psychologist, like basically people come to you not just for the physical change in their body, but also to air their problems and talk about their issues and stuff like that?
Yeah, somewhat. I think everyone's different. I think, PTs get put in the same basket as like hairdressers and stuff like that, where it's someone that you see on a regular basis that you trust, that's not in your friendship group. So I have some people that, they come in, they might need to get something off their chest, which is completely cool. But most of the sessions that I do with PT, if people are talking and it means they're not working hard enough and if they've got enough breath to be talking, we're not going hard. So, but yeah, mate, like I'm really big on, meditating and I love reading and self-development. So if people have issues, I'm always here to listen. I think that's one thing we really drive here at BBR, that we really care, and we genuinely want our clients to get better and progress. And if that means sometimes that we have to, have a shoulder to cry on, then I'm all for that as well. Whatever we can do to help our members, that's what we're going to do. But yeah, mainly it's just all training, mate. We have a bit of a chat, when we've got rest periods, but yeah, everyone's different. Some people need more than others, and depending on what people have got on at home, or if they've got a partner at home, or if they feel comfortable with sharing other people, they'll probably come to us less. But yeah, it just sort of depends on the person.
What self-improvement things do you do? You touched on the so do you know Andy Frisella? Do you listen to his type of stuff?
Yeah. I went through a big phase. I usually go through a big phase of listening to different people. So started off with Tony Robbins, and I usually go back to him every now and again. I just did the last program I've done is through a guy called Michael Gervais, who's a leading sports psychologist. I've done the David Goggins book, the Jocko Willing books and podcasts. all that type of stuff. What else have I done? I've just had a lot of business coaches along the way as well. So a lot of local guys, another different Tony Robbins coach. I just think there's lots to learn, and I think the more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know. So always trying to keep my finger in a couple of different pies when it comes to personal development, whether it can make me better as a boyfriend, as a partner, make me better as a leader. I think there's lots of value in learning, and like I said, there's just so much out there. I think you're mad if you're not reading books or being involved in some type of program to keep progressing as you get older.
Have you tried counseling or anything like that, or you just reckon, because you said about the whole relationship type of thing, tried going down that path, or is more just like your thing?
Yeah, I think that I read, I haven't finished it yet, but it's a book on like love languages. So just trying to work out how, picking up on signs, if I need to be more intimate or more, connect more or anything like that. They're just some little things that I'll just always try and improve on.
It's a pretty good book, that one. Like, it went around the mindset, the whole five love languages. I think that's the one that you talked about. Oh, we're going to run out of time soon. Where's your gym located, and where's the best place for people to find you online and anything?
So you can just, we're based inside the Claremont Showgrounds here in Perth, which is just off Greylands Road. So, but you can find us, everything you need to know is on our website, which is just bodiesbyryan.com.au. Instagram page, Bodies by Ryan, and I've got a personal Instagram page too, which is just Ryan Devereux BBR.
And do you do Facebook or TikTok?
Don't do. I've only just started a TikTok, so I think I've got one post up on TikTok. But yeah, I got Facebook as well, which is just Bodies by Ryan.
Oh, sweet. Any like words of wisdom or whatever you want to impart onto the audience before we wrap up?
Oh, well, in regards to training, I just think that you just got to do the work. I think what I say these days is like people aren't prepared to do the work. People want shortcuts. They want the magic pill. But I just think you've just really got to, if you do want to change your body, if you do want to get stronger and fitter and be more confident and, get all the positives from training, you've just got to get in there and do the work. And if you don't know how to do it, get a coach, stick to the plan, listen to what your coach says. And that's something that I've always done. I've always got a coach following different programs, following different nutrition programs, because I think, every time you get a new coach, you learn a little bit more. But I just think it's a really good message to tell people just to stay true to themselves. And if they want to, have big biceps, and that's okay, don't worry about being judged, because you get judged either way. So, stay true to yourself and just do the work.
No, that's actually some really good words to finish up on. Well, thanks for coming on the show. Did you have fun?
Yeah, Matt, it was good. Loved having a chat. It was very, very good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, let's do the little outro. Well, that's a wrap. I'd like to thank Ryan again for coming on the show, and I'd like to thank you, the listener, for listening. Please tell a friend about the podcast and have a fantastic day. All right, bye.